Hi, y'all. It's Bridget Cutshaw with Real Things Living. Today, my guest is Brittni Cosgrove. She is a life and business coach. Can you say hi, Brittni?
Hello, everyone. Hi, thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. And I just noticed our initials are the same, B and C.
Special letters.
It's the special letters. It's meant to be. I'm glad we connected. And I was really interested in learning about what allowed you, Brittni, to become, a coach because before we started recording, we talked about how being authentic and confident is just helps you get through life. And what prompted you to become a coach?
Oh, I love this question because honestly, it was the exact opposite of authenticity and confidence that really rooted my life to get where I am today. So, circling back, I it really wasn't until 2020 that I even was introduced to the coaching world. Leading up to that had been a couple decades of severe anxiety and depression that was fueled by perfectionism and this so much momentum and drive to create. And I was very career oriented and ambitious, but I had all of this energy and I just didn't know where to direct it. And that led to experiencing burnout at a very young age. Like I said, I really struggled with severe anxiety and just a lot of those inner critic moments that kept me on a very corporate laid direction. And then fast forward to 2020. And I always say that when the rest of the world stopped, so did I for the first time in my memory. And hitting that pause button, I was able to really tune into what do I want? Where am I going? What am I doing? Why am I doing anything? And I was really able to get clear on how unhappy I was with the direction I was heading, while also leaning into what else is there. And that was the year I opened up my first online business. And while that business was not the end all be all, it opened me up to this world of entrepreneurship. And I fell in love with that process. And then fast forward a couple months later, I was listening to a podcast that was all focused on entrepreneurs. And the guest speaker was a life coach. And this was my first time really listening and hearing what the coaching industry can offer. Because before that, I had all my judgments. I thought it was very fake, very woo woo, very do, very just intense in that way. And everything that this woman was saying was about getting to the root of what holds us back, transforming it. It was all about compassion based, acceptance based, it was a very opening conversation. And from that, I started diving in, working with my own coaches. I enrolled in a year-long certification program to start studying what does coaching look like and what are different techniques that I could use. And at first, it was all focused on an inward approach. Like I wanted to heal myself so I could go be a business owner, whatever that actually ended up meaning. And through that journey, I fell in love with what coaching actually is. And it was something where to my soul, to my core, I could feel it's part of me. And I do not believe purpose is always linked to career by any means. But I have known for most of my life, and especially since finding coaching, that it is in my personal life. And it has just been in my own life so transformational and so healing. But then being able to help others embody that as well is just pure magic. It's rewarding, it's empowering, it's medicine to the world.
I as you were talking, it resonated with me because I was guilty too of like perfectionism, right? And I think that's what was ingrained in us and the culture, and especially being a female and especially in the corporate world. I was the same. I was in the corporate world and I'm like, and it was always, I felt like I had to be perfect and I was afraid to say the right things. But again, I've learned being yourself helps you connect to people rather than being fake. I should say fake, but some of it is fake out there.
Yeah.
And
And
I,
it's not always bad. Like when I was in high school and like my teenage years, I would, looking back, I would consider that fake because I was never my authentic self, but it was
yes,
purely for survival and protecting
yes,
myself. It was a mask. And exactly what you're saying, it has been everything to learn how to be authentic, truly authentic.
it's hard because some people have expectations of you depending on your role that you're in. And I love the idea. So many people you mentioned are becoming entrepreneurs, owning their own business. because of the burnout we're all experiencing in general of the corporations. Sorry, corporations, but that's just the pressure, the expectations they have of us, and we should be able to, in my opinion, contribute in our way. And there's so many, we talk to ourselves, we can self-sabotage the way we talk to ourselves, right? What would you
Absolutely.
um can you like expand on that? What I don't know, I'm just talking and it just coming out of my mouth talking to you, Brittany.
Yeah, I think truly self-sabotage is one of the biggest ways that we can hold ourselves back. And most of the time, we don't even realize we're doing it. Taking things like authenticity and confidence, for example, those are buzzwords that we all want to embody. But really, when we get down to the nitty-gritty of why we're not moving forward on our goals, why we're not making progress, why we're not taking the action we know we're supposed to, if you can filter it down to the ways we self-sabotage, you're going to see it. It's like, oh, because I'm not embodying this confidence or I'm not embodying my true authentic self. Well, why is that? And then there's ways that you can look into whether it's in the subconscious level, which is one of my favorite things, or maybe it's a mindset shift that needs to happen to break away and stop that self-sabotaging pattern. But really, if you can bring that awareness to it, that's where it can all start so that we can stop holding ourselves back.
I'm sorry, I had myself muted. Yeah, that is so true. I'm again guilty in it. It's around, I think part of it is as your environment when you're growing up, as probably has a
Mhm.
lot to do with it, correct? And I had mentioned talking to you earlier before I started recording here that we just learned so much. I made so many boo-boos, I should say boo-boos, but you got to learn from that. And it's okay to make, right? Don't tear yourself down, right?
Absolutely. It's so easy to look back on our past experiences, whether we we see it as things that we did and chose or things that were done to us or chose to do to us. But when you look back on that, if we don't do our work around those instances, it can translate into the ways that we self sabotage. And that's where the subconscious comes into play. The subconscious is one of my favorite things to work with because there's so much hidden power in it. And primarily it's developed by the age, like in childhood, early childhood by the age of 7, but it can also be influenced on our past failures. And I'll put that in quotations because, like you were just saying, we can always learn from it. There's lessons, there's gifts in every failure. But when we see something as a failure or identify with something as a failure, our subconscious is going to pick up on that and project it onto the future. And so when we when we can start to notice that and do our work around those past experiences and looking at them with a fresh lens from where we are today after having done the work, looking at it from our adult lens into the childhood or looking at it from all the lessons we've integrated at something that didn't work out in the past. And can you look at that moment and say, was that truly a failure? Or was I truly in the wrong? Was I really not good enough? Like starting to question the limiting beliefs and thoughts that came from those past experiences, but you're looking at them again from the here and now. And then you can start transforming your relationship with those past experiences. And by doing that, they're naturally going to move on so that they're not resulting in things like procrastination or burnout or lack of confidence or any of the ways that you yourself experienced your self sabotage. Because really, it's just trying to get your attention of what it fears might happen again. And we just have to meet ourselves over and over again. And whether it's on the entrepreneurial journey, whether it's throughout parenthood or just through life, our past will show up in different areas of life until we meet that.
Right. As you were talking, I was thinking, what age group are your clients? Are they mostly women or are they moms?
I primarily women, and then really I have an age range from early 20s all the way up through their into maturity.
Maturity. I was also thinking, I'm learning a lot from my children. They're adults now, but I'm a Gen Xer, and so we learn from them, and we need to tell the younger generation our experiences, give them our wisdom, but then they can also at the same time give us their wisdom because the technology is that's affecting a lot of the way people are working and thinking. And I don't know what you went to school, if you have a degree, and mine is like marketing, and it changes every 6 months. It's even faster now, right? I mean, that's what I think that's why people need to like take time to rest, right? And that's what I'm seeing too. People get burned out because of all the everything's got to be so fast and it doesn't, right? That's how I was guilty of that because of the corporate environment that I was in. And I've been away from that for over a decade, and that's been so nice. You know what I mean? But it's about helping people and creating that domino effect, right?
Absolutely. I love the ripple effect because it's true. When we start to do and embody our own growth, that is going to ripple effect into our relationships and then from there and in all areas of our life. And there's something that came up when you were talking about learning from your children and vice versa, is it's really opening to being a student of life. And there's so much growth that's available when we have that mindset of being willing and open to learn from anything, everything, everyone. So I love, love, love that you highlighted that. And I think a lot of people very much have like the age mentality of, oh, if they're younger than me, they can't teach me or they can't help me or things along those lines or any version of that thought pattern. And I invite everyone to question it because that has been one of my favorite things. And I work with a lot of younger coach, like newer coaches too. And I help them see that like when you're experienced, when you're new, no matter what, there's things to learn from each other. There's always something to learn.
That's true. In my generation, we didn't share much, and it was my sons that convinced me to start blogging and I'm like, it was them. 'Cause like, Mom, you're a good writer. I'm like, okay, but I didn't have the confidence for some reason. I, yeah, I was told by my coworkers and like, teachers that I was a good writer, but I just didn't have. I was self-sabotaging myself. I didn't realize it, and I had younger people tell me it was okay to do that. And I'm glad they're doing that. And it's allowing people like you, coaches, to help us get out of this funk. That's the right word.
Yeah,
You can do that. And humanity is so important, especially with tech, Brittany. You still need people like you involved. AI can summarize things, but I don't think they can solve problems. I shouldn't say they, it. Sorry, see, I said it wrong. But I mean, it's so important to have the human aspect, and that's what you're doing.
absolutely. I feel very fortunate that I don't have concern that as tech evolves, it will impact what I do because really, like you're saying, it really is about the human connection and helping people in ways that software and technology won't be able to do. Because the reality is, all of the resources already exist online.
Yes.
People can go listen to the podcast and watch the YouTube videos and do the worksheets and read the books. But when it comes down to it, it's very simple. Either you do it or you don't. Most people don't. And that's why that's when I step in because it's not that you don't want it. There's something inside of you that doesn't feel like worthy of it or good enough for it or capable of it or something like that. And to protect yourself, you get into those self-sabotaging patterns. And it's simple and it's not, but it's simple in that if we knew better, we'd be able to do better. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I work with my own coaches multiple times a week because when we're in it, when we're in our lives, when we're in I don't like the problems or the situations that we're facing, there's so much value to someone else being able to look in when it's objective and like they're only there to support you and your vision. That's where it's so helpful to be able to have someone mirror back and reflect back the things that they're seeing because when you're in it you don't see it, but like you're saying, like when you look back you can see like, oh, right before I started that blog I wasn't feeling confident, I didn't feel like I could do it. And you can always see it, like hindsight's 2020, but when you're in it it feels so real and so big and so scary. And I love that like you felt it and you did it anyways.
Oh
And
yeah.
thank goodness you did. Like here we are
It was hard to
down the line.
it was hard to push that publish button. It's like
Yeah.
people a- appreciate that. And I think I've learned along the way sharing stories. We're learning from that, like you said, in the asking the objective questions. Because rather than telling them what to do, you're asking the right questions and you're listening and pausing and letting them think about it.
Yeah,
And they don't know
absolutely.
it's deep in their thoughts, right? Or their, like you said, their mindset is so critical. And I'm
Yeah.
just grateful to be curious. I think that's important too. Being curious is a good trait to have. If you are curious, do it. Nothing dangerous here.
Absolutely. But it's that questioning of everything. And I do believe like powerful questions, curiosity, that's the superpower right there. And I think that one of the biggest misunderstandings I faced from as being a coach in where my world and environment and people in my world, they didn't know coaching before I became a coach. There was very few that were in that self-development realm. So for most of my close world, I was their first experience with a coach, and they thought I'm telling people what to do, and things along those lines where it's more consulting roles or something like that. Like, no, like my belief is every person has their answers and wisdom within them. I believe I'm gifted enough to ask the right questions. Let them come to their own answers. Let them hear their own truths. But
Right.
sometimes we don't know the right questions to ask. And sometimes it's, like I said, it's not even asking the question, but the space that's created so that you can listen to what comes through. Life is so busy and noisy, and it really does come down to slowing it down, getting intentional, looking within. And then from there, we might need to go practice skills or learn different things that are more in that tangible realm. But first, it's about getting clear of what your answers are inside. And it's
That's true.
always about curiosity, questioning everything.
And it's not a bad thing. It's how you got to find out to get yourself out of I don't know, get stuck. And
Yeah.
I would prefer someone like you asking me the right questions rather than someone telling me. I think that's why some people think of coaches as being told what to do, like a sports coach. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That has I should say, an impact for what people think about it. Like a
Yeah, it's true.
football coach, you're you're trying to help them get to the next step. And I like the slowing down thing. I'm totally about keeping it simple and slowing down, focusing on what's, in the moment. And I think that's what you're doing, being mindful, being in the moment is really helpful for help me. Trust me, I joke, I've said this before to other people that my avatar, probably was a dog before I was a human. I'm just kidding because I am interested in things, but then I've learned raising kids and like slow down, focus on what's in front of you because things are even moving faster now than when I was growing up. And I think
Yes.
that's why my understanding is a lot of younger generation has, some mental health issues or stress and anxiety and things like that. And we can help, well, what you're doing can help them. They're part of self-sabotaging themselves, right?
Mhm. And
And
I love what you brought up about like the power of presence, like just coming to the here and now in this exact moment can do wonders when you're caught in an anxiety loop or when you're reminiscing on the past or anything like that. It's like just take a moment, literally less than a minute of just stilling, breathing, and just centering in this exact moment can do wonders.
and that's what a dog does. They sniff. I'm not kidding. I have dogs, and I walk them and I let them sniff and stuff. I mean, that to me, it's like, okay, yeah, don't walk so fast, stop. And that's kind of, I joke about, but I love dogs because they remind you to be in that moment and to be, they look at you in the eyes. And my, I don't know why I've always liked animals. I think it has to do with maybe my father was a Vietnam vet, and I didn't really know my dad. He was in Vietnam, and so he gave me a dog. And I think that's probably was my. I had an older brother too, but the dog was kind of like, I don't know. I thought in my mind it was my dad because he gave it to me. But that's what's so tough about certain all these different families when you're traveling and stuff like that. that again, it affects you. And I think I'm just so grateful to have, I had a good, I look back, good brother. He protected me, Brittni. I'm so glad he did. Right? That is a really critical. Girls don't realize that. I had someone mention to me that, um, why do women need men? I'm like, because we still do, trust me, to protect you. And I think it's from what I've seen around the military, it's just a tough environment for spouses as well. And that's when I knew, Brittni, I was not going to marry somebody that was going to be in the military. My husband was, but I waited till he got out because
Clarity.
it's very hard. I mean,
Yes.
it is very difficult. I mean, being married in general, I'm not saying it's easy, but I mean, it just makes it harder for that kind of environment. But those people, people that are in the military try to do the right thing. That's kind of got to have, some compassion for that. I think that's another thing too. It makes me, as I'm talking to you, you have a lot of compassion for help. And I think we need to talk about that more. We need to act on it and not just think about it. Right?
And what I'll say about that is because I love that you pointed that out too. I think compassion is so, so important. Just in our how we operate as a society, but just as the world gets more and more intense, compassion can heal that. Like that is one of the ways to help change the things that need to be changed. And my compassion story, I mean, I've always been a nice person, but I would not have been described as compassionate 10 years ago.
Neither.
And that surprises people. But like it's learned through self-love and self-acceptance. The more I faced my inner demons and my inner issues and
Right.
my past wounds and learn to incorporate that and accept that and work with that in a very love, acceptance,
Love
and
yourself.
non-judgment based space. Yeah, it transmutes out to everyone else because I am not projecting onto anyone else. I am not taking what's mine and putting that emotion on anyone else. And
Right.
instead, I'm also seeing everyone for the human they are. And this is not about condoning. It's not about saying things that should or shouldn't happen or not about justice or anything like that. But I'm seeing that they're a human. And
Mhm.
just from there, I'm operating as if they're a human
That is,
without the stories and dramas of my inner critic projecting onto someone else of like, oh, they should have done that better, or like I would have done it. Wait, there's just it's a different energy.
it's a different energy, and you got to be, I totally agree with that. And pausing before you make a comment, because that's when I was younger, I didn't pause. I was kind of
Yeah.
sorry, but I was young and I just said it like it was. I was a little too authentic when I was younger, but
I hear that.
but I think it's because I was a free range kid. That's how it was. And anyway, I like the what you're doing. And I guess my last question is for somebody who's dealing with, I shouldn't say trauma, but self-sabotaging. What do you think is one key takeaway they need to do? One or two things.
I love this.
Mhm.
There's two things that automatically pop into my head. So I want to share those. The first is you must be clear on where you're going, what you want. But further than that, you need to be clear on why you want it. So have your goal. Don't just be going through life just to go through life. Have something you're working towards. Have that bigger vision. And then take whatever that goal is and figure out your deep why behind it. I do this exercise with clients and in workshops where I'll ask, okay, so you have this thing you want. Why do you want it? They'll answer and just come up with like a one or two liner about why you want that. Then taking that first answer, why do you want that? And then you'll come up with another one or two liner. And you keep going through that for at least 5 layers to get to the deepest layer of why you want this goal or vision. So that's the first part is getting clear on what you want and why you want it. And then from there, it's about bringing it back down to this moment. I think what I really want people to hear from this is that in the busyness of life, in the go, go, go of being ambitious and going for what we want, take a moment every single day. And I'm not talking about half an hour or anything like that. The busiest person can find 1 to 3 minutes in your day. That's all I'm saying. 1 to 3 minutes to just breathe. Put on, just take a moment to just slow down, close your eyes, or look down if closing your eyes is uncomfortable, and just take a moment to sit in the stillness with yourself. Just connecting with yourself for a moment. Just taking a beat to breathe, to stay still, giving yourself space. And with that combination of getting clear on where you're going, knowing why you're going where you're going, and nourishing yourself every single day is going to help make that sustainable so that you're not leading to burnout, so that you're not getting stuck in, I don't know, the confusion, the lack of clarity. But then most importantly, you're allowing yourself to be human and nourishing yourself because you're human. I think that's something that we forget. We're, especially the ambitious people out there, we're so focused on the future. And it's like, take a moment every single day, and as little as a minute. It can be that simple. You can start exactly where you're at, of just, it's just honoring yourself, really, is what it comes down to.
Right. You are worth it. Right.
Yes, yes. Every single person, every single one listening, you are worth it.
Yes. I love how you stated that. It is so important. We need to just uplift some people. And I'm all about sharing positivity just because that is what we need right now. Um, Negativity it's like clickbait. No, we need to focus on what's positive because you are worth it.
Yes.
And this is really awesome. Brittni, where can people learn more about you?
Come say hi to me over on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Brittni.Cosgrove, and Brittni's a little unique. It's Brittni. Or you can go check out my website, BrittniCosgrove.com. But I'd love to just say hi. I want to hear the insights and takeaways from this. This was such a good conversation. And yeah, I'd love to just be able to say hi.
Well, thank you. And I love connecting with new people and I love your energy. And we have a lot more in common. I mean, that's a lot of women. We just have dealt with things and we're trying to keep it together, right? And you are,
Yes.
like you said.
Yes. Oh, so good.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. And I'll include the links that she mentioned in the description and have a great day.